My brothers and sisters, let me tell you something today. Pain is inevitable, but misery is optional. People will betray you, abandon you, speak against you, lie on you. But how you respond determines whether you rise or remain bound. Today, I'm here to tell you the best revenge is not in returning evil for evil, but in rising so high they have to look up just to see where God has taken you. When people come against you, when they wound you, when they betray you, there is a temptation deep inside the human heart to strike back. It's that burning feeling that says, they will not get away with this. It's the desire to set the record straight, to prove yourself, to pull them down to the ground where you are hurting. But I came to tell you today, you are not made for the ground. You are not designed to wallow in the dirt of revenge, bitterness, or payback. You are made to rise. You are called to lift your head, square your shoulders, and walk forward in dignity, in grace, and in power. When you stoop to the level of those who wrong you, you put yourself on their playing field, and that is exactly where they want you to be. The one who hurt you wants to see you angry, to see you rattled, to see you broken and bitter, because when you get stuck there, you stop moving forward. You stop walking toward the destiny God placed before you. You stop growing. And so many people fall into that trap. They waste months, even years, stuck in cycles of resentment, replaying the hurt over and over, waiting for the perfect chance to retaliate. But friend, let me tell you, that is wasted time. That is stolen time. That is time you will never get back. Every minute you spend plotting revenge is a minute you could have been building, healing, learning, and rising. You don't rise by pushing other people down. You rise by lifting yourself up. You rise by walking away from small battles and fixing your eyes on bigger victories. Some of you today are so tangled up in trying to set things right with people who hurt you that you don't even realize they no longer have the power to hold you back, unless you give it to them. Every time you fire back an angry message, every time you talk about them to others, every time you stew on what they did, you give them more space in your life. You allow them to live rent-free in your head. But the moment you decide, I will no longer participate in this drama, I will no longer carry this weight, you take your power back. And that, my friend, is the real revenge. There is nothing more confusing to someone who tried to hurt you than seeing you smile anyway. There is nothing more powerful than walking past your betrayers with peace in your heart and purpose in your step. They expected you to collapse. They expected you to fight them on their level. But you, by the grace of God, are rising above. You are choosing the higher road, not because you are weak, but because you are strong. Not because you are afraid, but because you are wise. You understand that not every insult deserves a reply. Not every attack deserves an answer. Not every betrayal deserves a counterattack. Some things are too small for the giant that you are. Do you remember the story of David and Goliath? David was a shepherd boy, overlooked and underestimated. But when the time came to face the giant, he didn't fight like the giant wanted him to. He didn't put on Saul's heavy armor. He didn't engage in a sword fight. He used the tools he had, the skills God gave him, and he fought on his own terms. That's what rising above looks like. It's refusing to play by the rules of those who want to drag you down. It's choosing your own battleground, your own weapons, and most importantly, your own focus. David didn't waste time cursing Goliath or trading insults. He aimed his stone and he moved forward. He stayed focused. You too must stay focused. You too must stay focused. You cannot afford to let petty battles distract you from divine purpose. You cannot afford to let small people pull you into small arguments. You were made for more. You were made for higher things. God has placed gifts inside you, dreams inside you that are waiting to be fulfilled. But they will not grow if you keep turning your attention backward toward those who want to see you stumble. You cannot walk forward looking over your shoulder. You cannot build the next chapter of your life if you are still reading and rereading the last one. And hear me clearly, rising above is not pretending you weren't hurt. It's not denying the pain or brushing it under the rug. Rising above means you acknowledge the pain, but you refuse to let it own you. It means you look at the wound and instead of saying, this will destroy me, you say, this will make me stronger. You take the lesson, you take the wisdom, and you leave the bitterness behind. You stop letting the one who hurt you control your emotions, your choices, your peace. You release them, not for their sake, but for yours. People will notice. Oh, they will notice when you rise. They will see you walking in favor, walking in blessing, walking in strength, and they will wonder why their attacks didn't work. They will wonder how you kept moving when they threw stones. But you will know. You will know it was because you chose elevation over retaliation. You chose destiny over drama. You chose to let God fight the battles that were too small for you to waste time on. So when the anger rises, when the temptation to clap back, to retaliate, to hurt back wells up in your chest, take a breath. Remind yourself, I was made to rise. I was made to soar. And I will not trade my wings for chains. I will not lower myself just to prove a point. Sure. Because the greatest proof, the greatest answer, the greatest revenge is not in what I say to those who wronged me. It's in how I live despite them. It's in how I keep shining, keep building, keep thriving, and keep walking forward with my head held high. You are stronger than the attack. You are bigger than the betrayal. You are more powerful than the pain. And your story, your future, your purpose is far too valuable to waste on small fights. Let them watch you rise. Let them watch you fly. Because in the end, the best revenge is not getting even. Oh, the best revenge is rising so high, they can't even reach you anymore. There are moments in life when the weight of what has been done to you feels unbearable. Moments when the betrayal, the loss, the heartbreak, or the rejection cuts so deep that you wonder if you will ever be whole again. And in those moments, it feels like survival is the only goal. Just to make it through the day, just to keep breathing, just to keep standing. But let me tell you something powerful today. You were not born just to survive. You were born to heal. You were born to thrive. You were created not to merely drag yourself through life wounded, but to rise with new strength, with new purpose, with a testimony on your lips that declares, what tried to break me only made me stronger. Healing is not just about covering over the pain. It is about allowing God to work in the deep places where no one else can see. It is about saying, yes, I was hurt. Yes, I was broken. But I refuse to let this define me forever. Too many people get stuck at the level of survival. They stay in survival mode, always on edge, always guarded, always nursing old wounds and letting them shape how they see the world. They become prisoners of what happened. They define themselves by the loss, by the betrayal, by the injustice. But hear me clearly. Survival is only the first stage. Today. Survival is not the finish line. You are not meant to live in survival forever. You are meant to rise out of survival and step into healing, and beyond healing, into thriving. To heal means you stop letting the pain tell you who you are. It means you stop rehearsing the old conversations, the old betrayals, the old injuries. It means you let the past have its place behind you. Healing does not mean you forget what happened. It means you stop letting what happened shape your future. And when you start to heal, something incredible happens. You make room for new growth. You open space in your heart and in your life for God to bring new things, better things into your path. But as long as your hands are clenched around the past, you cannot receive the blessings of the present or the promises of the future. Thriving is about more than just a getting over it. It's about stepping into a life that is full, a life that is abundant, a life where you are using your gifts, your talents, your voice, your energy, not to defend yourself, not to prove anything to anyone, but simply to live well. There is something undeniably powerful about a person who has been through the fire but comes out refined instead of burned. There is something magnetic about someone who has faced darkness but still chooses light, who has been wounded but still chooses to love, who has been rejected but still chooses to dream. That is what it means to thrive, to refuse to let the hard things of life harden you. Too many people wear their survival like a badge, but they forget that God wants to give them more than just the ability to endure. He wants to give them the ability to flourish. He wants to see you smiling again, laughing again, building again, dreaming again, dreaming again. The best answer you can give to those who hurt you is not to stay trapped in pain. The best answer is to show them, and yourself, that you are still standing, still growing, still walking in purpose, still full of hope. Because when you thrive, you silence every voice that said you were finished. When you thrive, you declare that you serve a God who restores, who renews, who takes what was broken and makes it beautiful. Your healing is not just for you. When you heal, you give permission for others to heal too. When you thrive, you become a living testimony that pain is not the end of the story. You become a light in dark places, a guide for others who are walking through their own valleys. Your thriving becomes a gift to the world, a signpost that says, if God did it for me, he can do it for you too. Oh. So don't settle for survival. Don't settle for just getting by. Press into healing. Press into growth. Press into the life that God has waiting for you on the other side of the pain. Healing takes courage. Thriving takes even more. It means you have to release the need to control everything, the need to protect yourself from ever being hurt again. It means you have to risk living with an open heart, even when you've been wounded before. But let me tell you, the risk is worth it. Because the life God has planned for you is too rich, too vibrant, too meaningful to live half closed, half guarded, half alive. You are meant to live fully, to love fully, to step fully into your calling without chains from the past holding you back. So today, I challenge you, make the decision to move beyond survival. Make the decision to heal, even when it's hard, even when it means facing uncomfortable truths, even when it means forgiving what feels unforgivable. Make the decision to thrive, even when fear whispers that it's safer to stay small, safer to stay hidden, safer to stay hurt. Because you are not here just to survive your past. You are here to build a future. Oh. You are here to take the broken pieces and let God make something new out of them. You are here to be a living, breathing example of grace, of redemption, of beauty rising from ashes. And the beautiful truth is, thriving is not about having a perfect life. It's not about pretending you were never hurt. It's about saying, I was knocked down, but I got back up. I was wounded, but I kept walking. I was disappointed, but I didn't give up. It's about living with joy, not because everything is perfect, but because you know you are stronger, wiser, and better than the pain that tried to stop you. And when you walk in that kind of joy, that kind of peace, that kind of purpose, you don't just survive. You inspire, you don't just make it through. You light the way for others. So lift your head, lift your heart, step into the life you are meant for. You are not just a survivor. You are a healer. You are a builder. You are a thriver. And no hurt, no betrayal, no loss can take that away from you. Let them see you living well. Let them see you rising higher. Let them see you walking in strength and in grace and in grace. Because in the end, that is the best answer you can ever give to pain. Not to stay broken, but to become whole. Not to stay small, but to become everything you were created to be. There comes a time in your life when you realize that not every fight is yours to fight. Not every offense requires your reaction. Not every attack deserves a counterattack. Because when you live long enough and go through enough, you learn that some battles are not won with your fists, your words, or your will. They are won by stepping back and letting God do what only He can do. Only He can do. When people hurt you, when they lie on you, when they take advantage of your kindness or turn their back on you after all you've done, everything in your flesh wants to respond. Everything in your emotions wants to retaliate. But deep in your spirit, if you listen, you will hear a still, quiet voice that says, "Be still. I will fight for you. The vengeance is mine." There is power in restraint. There is power in silence. There is power in walking away and leaving it in God's hands. Because what God can do is far greater than anything you could say or do in your own strength. His justice is not emotional. His response is not impulsive. His timing is perfect, and His judgment is righteous. And when you trust Him enough to let go of your need to even the score, you are not being weak. You are being wise. You are showing that your confidence is not in your ability to make things right, but in God's sovereignty to handle what is out of your control. Some of you are carrying burdens today that are not even yours to carry. You are holding grudges that are weighing down your soul. You are trying to figure out how to make someone feel the pain they made you feel. You replay the words, the betrayal, the injustice over and over in your mind as if doing so will help you heal, but it won't. Revenge does not bring peace. Retaliation does not bring closure. It only drags you deeper into the mess and farther from your purpose. And the truth is, the longer you spend plotting payback, the longer you delay your progress, because God cannot fully bless a heart that is too full of bitterness to receive His peace. There is a story in the Bible where David had the opportunity to kill Saul. The man who had hunted him, lied about him, and tried to destroy him. Saul had done everything in his power to wipe David out. And one day, David found Saul alone and vulnerable in a cave. Amen. His men urged him, "This is your chance, take him out." But David refused. He said, "I will not lay my hand on him. That is for the Lord to decide." David knew something we all must learn. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. Just because revenge is within reach doesn't mean it's the path to righteousness. David's strength wasn't in the sword he could have used. His strength was in the self-control he showed. His strength was in trusting that God would handle what needed to be handled. And God did handle it. And God did handle it. In his own time, in his own way. Saul fell by his own sword. David didn't have to lift a finger. That's what happens when you release people into God's hands. When you let him be your defender. When you stop trying to win every battle in your own strength and let the one who sees all, knows all, and judges all handle the outcome. Sometimes the best thing you can do for your own soul is walk away from the fight. Not because you lost, but because you won something greater. You won peace. You won freedom. You won clarity. You won your future back. The enemy knows that if he can keep you focused on payback, he can keep you distracted from purpose. He knows that if he can keep your mind on them, you won't have room to hear what God is saying. He knows that if he can keep your spirit bitter, he can block your blessings from flowing freely. So what do instead? You forgive, not because they deserve it, but because you do. You release it, not because it wasn't wrong, but because carrying it is too heavy. You move forward, not because it didn't hurt, but because your healing matters more. You hand the situation over to God and say, Lord, I don't like what they did. I don't understand why it happened. But I trust you. I trust that you are just. I trust that you are just. I trust that you are good. I trust that you see what I can't and know what I don't. And I trust that you will deal with it better than I ever could. And while you trust him to handle what's behind you, you focus on what's ahead. You put your energy into your growth. You invest your time in your calling. You build your joy, your health, your dreams, your relationships. Because living well, not out of spite, not to prove anything, but out of gratitude and obedience, is the loudest declaration you can ever make. You don't need to destroy your enemies. Just rise. You don't need to shout your innocence. Just walk in integrity. You don't need to make them suffer. Just let them see you flourishing in peace, walking in purpose, growing in grace. And yes, there will be moments when it still hurts. There will be moments when the wound feels fresh. But even in those moments, whisper to your soul, God's got it. God sees. God will take care of it. And he will. He may not do it the way you thought. He may not do it when you expected. But he is faithful. He is just. He is just. And his version of justice is far greater than anything you could craft on your own. So lay down the burden of revenge. Lay down the pressure to make them pay. And pick up peace. Pick up the grace that God has extended to you and live like someone who is truly free. Because when you let God handle the payback, you make room in your life for something far greater. The peace of knowing you don't have to fight every battle, the joy of walking in divine favor, and the freedom to rise beyond anything that was meant to destroy you. There is something extraordinary about the human spirit when it is surrendered to God, and something that defies logic. Something that baffles the enemy, something that takes the very thing meant to break you and transforms it into the very thing that builds you. Pain that builds you. Pain on its own can crush you. Pain on its own can leave you bitter, angry, and exhausted. But pain, when placed in God's hands, becomes a weapon of power, a tool of transformation, a platform for growth. You are not meant to carry your pain forever. You are meant to rise from it, wiser, stronger, sharper, and more equipped than before. You are meant to turn your pain into power. There is no life without wounds. Every person walking this earth has been cut in some way, by betrayal, by disappointment, by loss, by injustice, by failure. Some wounds come from the outside, inflicted by others. Some wounds come from within, the result of our own mistakes or regrets. But whether the pain was caused by someone else or born in your own decisions, here's the truth. God can use it. Not just to patch you up, not just to help you survive, but to turn you into someone stronger than you were before. If you let him, God will take the very things you thought disqualified you and turn them into the very things that empower you. Think about the people you admire the most. Think about the people who carry deep wisdom, who walk in real authority, who have the kind of strength that can't be shaken by life's storms. I can guarantee you, they didn't get there without pain. They didn't get there without walking through some things, without shedding some tears, without learning hard lessons along the way. Pain refines you. Pain deepens you. Pain stretches you beyond the surface, beyond the shallow, into the place where you discover what you're really made of and, more importantly, who God really is in your life. You see, pain is not the end of the story. Pain is the middle. Kind of. Pain is the part where you are pressed, where you are tested, where the weight feels unbearable. But that pressure has a purpose. That pressing has a promise. Because just like a diamond is formed under extreme heat and pressure, so too is the brilliance of your life formed through the pressure of pain. God is not wasting your suffering. God is not ignoring your cries. Oh. He is shaping you, molding you, preparing you for a strength you could never have without walking through the fire. When you let pain turn into power, you stop asking, why did this happen to me? And you start asking, what can I learn from this? How can I grow from this? How can I grow from this? How can I come out of this stronger than before? It's not about denying the hurt or pretending the wounds don't exist. It's about refusing to let those wounds be the final word over your life. It's about taking the raw, messy, painful pieces and saying, God, here, take this, use this, redeem this. And when you offer him your pain, he does what only he can do. He turns mourning into dancing. He turns ashes into beauty. He turns weakness into strength. There's a power that comes when you stop hiding your scars and start using them as testimony. Every scar tells a story, not of defeat, but of survival, of healing, of redemption. Your scars become proof that you went through it and came out the other side. Your scars become a beacon of hope for someone else who's still in the fire. Your scars become a reminder that what was meant to kill you only made you stronger. So don't be ashamed of your pain. Don't hide your story. Don't pretend you've always been this strong, this wise, this grounded. Let people see what you've overcome, because in that there is power, not just for you, but for others. But here's the key. You have to choose it. You have to choose to let pain work for you, not against you. You have to choose to let it shape you, not shrink you, not shrink you. You have to decide that you are not going to stay in the place of hurt, the place of anger, the place of regret. You have to pick yourself up, even when it feels impossible, and say, I'm not going to waste this season. I'm not going to waste this sorrow. I'm going to let it build me. Because if you don't transform your pain, it will transform you into someone bitter, someone small, someone afraid to live fully again. But when you hand it to God, when you trust him with it, when you surrender the brokenness and let him breathe new life into you, you step into a power that no one can take away. Remember, the enemy doesn't just want to hurt you. He wants to stop you. He wants the pain to shut you down. He wants the wound to become your identity. But you can flip the script. You can take what the enemy meant for evil and, with God's help, turn it for good. You can become more loving, more courageous, more resilient, more focused. You can take the lessons learned in the valley and carry them to the mountaintop. You can let the betrayal teach you discernment. You can let the loss teach you compassion. You can let the failure teach you perseverance. You can let the pain become your fuel. So today I urge you, don't waste your pain. Don't let it go unused. Don't let it harden you or paralyze you. Let it propel you. Let it propel you. Let it sharpen your vision. Let it deepen your faith. Let it push you closer to God, not farther away, because he is the one who specializes in redemption. He is the one who can take every tear you've cried and turn it into a harvest of joy. He is the one who can take the mess and make it into a message. He's the one who can take the test and make it into a testimony. Lift your head. Square your shoulders. Step forward with the quiet, steady confidence of someone who knows they have been through the fire and survived. Step forward knowing that you are stronger than you were, wiser than you were, more powerful than you were. Not because the pain disappeared, but because you let God turn it into something greater. And when you walk in that kind of power, when you rise in that kind of strength, there's nothing the enemy can throw at you that you cannot overcome. So turn your pain into power. Use your wounds as fuel. Let every hurt deepen your wisdom. Let every hurt deepen your wisdom. Let every setback sharpen your focus. And let your life shine as a living, breathing testimony that what was meant to destroy you only made you more powerful. There is a certain kind of silence that speaks louder than the loudest shout. It is not the silence of defeat or retreat. It is the silence of steady, quiet success. When people come against you, when they lie on your name, when they tear you down behind your back, your first instinct may be to defend yourself, to explain, to fight back with words. But there comes a time when you must realize that the greatest answer you can ever give to the enemy, whether it's a person, a spirit, or a situation, is not your defense, not your rebuttal, not your argument. It's your success. It's your endurance. It's your peace. It's the undeniable evidence of God's hand on your life that no attack can erase. You see, the enemy thrives on distraction. He thrives on pulling you into petty fights, into drama, into conversations that sap your energy and steal your focus. If he can keep you arguing with people who are determined not to understand you, then he can keep you from building what God has called you to build. If he can keep you tangled and proving your point, then he can keep you from walking in your purpose. But if you rise above it, if you keep moving forward, if you keep planting, keep growing, keep producing, then you silence the enemy without ever opening your mouth. There is no argument against undeniable fruit. Understand this. You don't have to announce every victory. You don't have to post every success. You don't have to shout every achievement from the rooftops. Sometimes the greatest victories happen in quiet, private moments. Moments when God promotes you, when God blesses you, when God opens a door no man can shut. And when that happens, people will see. They will notice. They will wonder how you kept going, how you kept standing, how you kept producing when they thought you were finished. And that's when you know you've truly silenced the enemy, not with a comeback, not with revenge, but with the evidence of God's faithfulness. It takes maturity to walk in this kind of silence. It takes strength to resist the urge to clap back, to correct every false story, to chase down every rumor. But when you trust that God is your defender, you can rest in knowing that you don't have to chase people's approval. You don't have to fix every misunderstanding. You don't have to force people to see your side. Your success will speak for itself. Your peace will speak for itself. Your consistency will speak for itself. And over time, even the loudest enemy's voice will fade under the weight of God's undeniable hand on your life. Remember, even Jesus did not waste his energy on every accusation. He did not stop his mission to argue with every critic. He did not explain himself to everyone who misunderstood him. Everyone who misunderstood him. He stayed focused. He stayed locked in on his purpose. He stayed committed to the work God gave him to do. And because of that, his life, his resurrection, his power silenced the enemy once and for all. That same power is available to you. That same focus is possible for you. You don't have to defend yourself against every attack. You just have to stay aligned with what God has called you to do. Some of you have been burning up precious energy trying to fix what people think about you. You've been exhausting yourself trying to clean up your name, trying to explain yourself to people who are determined not to believe the truth. But God is saying, let it go. Keep building. Keep succeeding. Keep producing, because nothing silences the voice of doubt like undeniable results. Nothing shuts the mouth of the enemy like you flourishing in the very place where they said you would fail. Nothing confuses your haters more than watching you rise, not by fighting them, but by focusing on your purpose. So lift your eyes from the fight. Lift your eyes from the gossip. Lift your eyes from the distraction. Look forward, look up, set your face like flint, and keep pressing toward the mark. Let your work speak, let your consistency speak, let your character speak. And let God speak through the undeniable evidence of his goodness in your life. You don't have to shout. You don't have to scheme. You don't have to scheme. You don't have to plot revenge. You just have to keep walking faithfully, keep showing up, keep doing what God has called you to do, even when no one is clapping, even when no one sees, even when the critics are loud, because one day the fruit will show. And when it does, even your enemies will have to admit who is with them. But here's something even more powerful. When you succeed God's way, you don't just silence the voices outside. You silence the voices inside. You silence the doubts, the fears, the insecurities that told you you weren't enough, that told you you couldn't make it, that told you would never recover. You silence the voice that said your past disqualified you. You silence the voice that said you were too broken, too flawed, too late. Every step forward, every act of obedience, every small victory becomes a declaration to your own soul. I am not who they said I was. I am who God says I am. I am not bound by the lies. I am not defined by the betrayal. I am not held back by the wounds. I am not held back by the wounds. I am free, I am called, I am chosen, and I am walking in victory. So today I encourage you, focus less on fighting your enemies and more on building what God has put in your hands. Focus less on proving yourself and more on producing fruit. And more on producing fruit. Focus less on defending your name and more on living a life that is aligned with God's purpose. Because in the end, it is not your argument that will silence the enemy. It is your endurance. It is your faithfulness. It is your peace. It is your peace. It is your success. Success that is not rooted in pride or ego, but in the quiet, steady confidence of someone who knows God is with them. And when you walk in that kind of success, when you stand in that kind of peace, you won't need to fight every battle. You'll be too busy flourishing. You'll be too busy thriving. You'll be too busy stepping into everything God has promised you. And as you do, watch how the voices that once tried to tear you down will fall silent, not because you shut them up, but because God lifted you up. There comes a time in your life when you outgrow what tried to break you. There comes a moment when the person you used to be, the person who cried in the dark, the person who doubted their own worth, the person who was chained by past hurts and old betrayals, becomes just that, the person you used to be. Oh, there comes a time when you let God do such a deep and complete work in you that you become unrecognizable, even to yourself. You look back, and you don't even see the same person anymore. You don't carry the same wounds. You don't wear the same chains. You don't walk under the same weight. You are transformed. You are renewed. You are made whole. The truth is, pain will either define you or refine you. It will either become the prison you live in or the platform you stand on. But when you choose to lean into God's healing, when you surrender your pain to Him, when you let Him take you through the process, not just the quick fix, but the deep transformation, you come out on the other side so changed, so elevated, so expanded in spirit and wisdom and strength that the old pain no longer fits you. The people who knew you before, the people who remember you when you were still bleeding, when you were still broken, they may try to remind you of who you were, but they won't recognize who you've become. Because God has rebuilt you from the inside out. To become unrecognizable in your growth does not mean you deny your past. It does not mean you pretend the pain never happened. It means you have healed so deeply, you have grown so completely, that the pain no longer dictates your decisions. It no longer shapes your self-image. It no longer owns your story. Yes, you remember where you came from. Yes, you remember the lessons. But you are not living as that wounded version of yourself anymore. You are standing tall. You are walking free. Walking free. You are stepping boldly into a new season, carrying wisdom instead of wounds, carrying strength instead of scars, carrying purpose instead of pain. This is the kind of transformation that can only happen when you let God into the deepest places of your life. Surface changes won't get you there. Cosmetic fixes won't get you there. Faking it won't get you there. It takes courage to let God pull out the roots. It takes trust to let Him dismantle the lies you've believed about yourself. It takes surrender to let Him peel away the layers of defense you've built up over the years. But when you do, when you stop trying to heal yourself, when you stop clinging to old identities, when you stop replaying the same old stories in your mind, He steps in and begins the real work. He shapes you into someone stronger, wiser, more radiant, more whole. There's a beauty in becoming unrecognizable to your past. You stop reacting out of old pain. You stop rehearsing old grudges. You stop defining yourself by who hurt you or how they left you or what they took from you. You begin to live out of your healing, not your hurt. You begin to dream new dreams, set new goals, build new relationships, walk through new doors. You no longer attract the same toxic patterns because you're not the same person you were when you walked through those old doors. You're no longer drawn to what's familiar but harmful because you've been rewired. You're no longer bound to the old cycles because you've been set free. People may look at you and wonder, what happened to them? How did they become so strong, so peaceful, so joyful, so focused? And the answer will always be God. Not willpower, not luck, not a new relationship or new job or a new opportunity. God. It was God who healed you. It was God who grew you. Grew you. Through the valley and brought you out on the other side, not just surviving, but thriving. You didn't just get a fresh coat of paint. You were rebuilt from the foundation. It's important to understand that becoming unrecognizable in your growth doesn't mean everyone will celebrate you. Some people liked you better broken. Some people were more comfortable when you were small, when you were insecure, when you were easy to manipulate, when you stayed in your place. When you stayed in your place. But when you rise, when you heal, when you grow, when you start living at the level God intended for you, some people will be threatened. Some people will try to pull you back into old conversations, old arguments, old ways of thinking. Don't go back. Don't shrink back. Don't let the discomfort pull you out of your growth. You've worked too hard. You've prayed too long. You've fought too many battles to go backward now. You've paid the price to heal. You've labored in the secret place. You've stayed faithful when no one saw the struggle. And now you're walking in a season of transformation. Let God finish what he started. Keep growing. Keep stretching. Keep growing. Keep stretching. Keep stepping forward, even if it means some people don't recognize you anymore. Even if it means you have to leave some relationships behind. Even if it means you have to step into unfamiliar territory. You were not made to stay the same. You were not made to live your whole life defined by what broke you. You are becoming the version of yourself that God always intended. The version that is not shaped by trauma, not limited by wounds, not chained to the past. You are becoming someone who carries peace in the middle of storms, someone who walks in wisdom, someone who radiates joy, someone who embodies strength. And as you continue to grow, you will find that even you don't recognize yourself sometimes. You will surprise yourself with your resilience. You will surprise yourself with your clarity. It will surprise yourself with your capacity to love, to forgive, to lead, to soar. So keep going, keep becoming, keep letting God shape you, stretch you, elevate you. Don't get stuck in old versions of yourself. Don't let old pain define your future. Don't let past labels stick to you in this new season. You are more than your worst day. You are more than your deepest wound. You are more than the opinions of people who only knew the old you. You are God's masterpiece in progress, and he is not finished with you yet. Walk forward boldly. Let the world see the new you. Let them marvel at what God has done. And when they ask, how did you change so much? Point them to the one who took your brokenness and made it beautiful, who took your pain and turned it into power, who took your past and used it to propel you into purpose. Become so transformed, so renewed, so free that the old pain no longer even knows your name. So now, after everything we've walked through, rising above instead of sinking low, healing and thriving instead of merely surviving, letting God handle the payback, turning pain into power, silencing the enemy through our success, and becoming unrecognizable in our growth. Hear this final truth. The best revenge is no revenge at all. The best revenge is living a life so transformed, so healed, so purpose-driven that the old wounds no longer own you, and the people who tried to break you no longer define you. Well, define you. You are not here to fight petty battles or chase after the approval of those who hurt you. You are here to fulfill the call God has placed on your life. You are here to rise, to heal, to build, to create, to love, to serve, to lead, to walk in power and peace. And every time you step forward in that purpose, every time you refuse to be pulled down by bitterness, every time you leave the past behind and embrace the new thing God is doing in you, you are proving something far greater than revenge. You are proving that no weapon formed against you could prosper, that God's hand on your life is stronger than any enemy's attack, and that the final word over your life belongs to God, not to your wounds, not to your critics, not to your history. So walk boldly, walk humbly, walk faithfully, and let your life, your healing, your success, your growth be the loudest, clearest answer to every voice that ever tried to silence you. Because in the end, the best revenge is not about getting back. It's about getting free. It's about getting free. And when you walk in that kind of freedom, you don't just win the battle. You win the whole war.